Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name is Chuck Ekman and I serve as Dean of Libraries at the University of Miami. And it's my great pleasure to moderate today's event, which is co-sponsored by the University of Miami's Topol Career Center and the College of Arts and Sciences. The focus of the program today is to provide recent graduates with an awareness of the tools and resources available to them as they navigate this transition moment in your lives. I'm pleased to say we have a fantastic lineup of 5 presenters who will begin the program by introducing themselves and their perspectives on the topic of entering the job market as a recent graduate. Following those introductions, I will ask the presenters a series of questions that have been submitted in advance. The session will conclude with an open question and answer period in which you will be able to ask your questions directly using the Q&A feature of Zoom. With that introduction, I will hand the virtual microphone over to our first speaker, Camila Rodriguez Rojas, for her presentation.
Hi, thank you so much, Dean Ekman. Hi, everyone. My name is Camila Rodriguez Rojas. I am a University of Miami graduate. I graduated with the class of 2019. I have my Bachelor of Arts in Biology and Spanish. Currently, I am in Phoenix, Arizona. So I am with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Public Health Associate Program, which is a 2-year postgraduate program where you can be stationed anywhere in the United States and also in their territories. So that's the work that I'm currently doing. I am involved here at the Arizona Department of Health Services COVID response, so I work in the laboratory.
Thank you so much, Camila. Pleased to meet you. And now I will turn this over to Christian Garcia. Christian.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chuck. My name is Christian Garcia. I'm the Associate Dean and Executive Director of the Topol Career Center at the university. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. I know that we are experiencing, as what you've heard many times, unprecedented times with COVID-19 and, graduating. For those of you who just graduated or maybe a year out or 2 years out, we're facing a very difficult, very challenging job market. So what we're here to do today is, at least from my perspective, to talk about the different opportunities that are available, because there are a lot of companies and organizations that are still doing hiring, as well as other opportunities for you to continue gaining experience, knowledge, so that way you can kind of keep flexing your brain throughout this time if you don't have a position. But we're here to answer any questions that you may have, and I look forward to talking about all the wonderful things that we're doing at Topol to help support graduates of the university.
Thank you so much, Christian. And now I will turn this over to Marianne Tobin.
Thank you, Dean Ekman. Hello, everyone. My name is Marianne Tobin. I'm the Assistant Dean for Professional Education and Personalized Learning at the College of Arts and Sciences. We're very grateful to the Topol Career Center for co-hosting this event today. The College of Arts and Sciences is the largest academic unit at the university, representing approximately 40% of the undergraduate student body. I'm also an alum of UM. I'm a rare triple cane. I have a bachelor's from the College of Arts and Sciences, master's from the School of Communication, and PhD from the School of Education. So I didn't go far. I did try my hand at a few careers, but ultimately I have been, for the last 8 years, professor of education at Nova Southeastern University, which is just up the road in Fort Lauderdale. I returned to UM in 2017 as Executive Director of Interdisciplinary Programs, and now very happy to serve as Assistant Dean of the college. I'm here today to answer any questions related to graduate school options, and I know for many of you this next year is a year of unknowns, some trepidation and uncertainty, so I hope that today's panel serves to assuage any fears that you have, and I'm happy to take your questions about the possibilities for graduate education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marianne. Appreciate that. And now I will turn this over. The virtual mic will pass to Desiree Young. Desiree?
Oh, thank you so much, Dean Ekman. I'm Desiree Young. I'm the Executive Director of Programs and Enrollment Management over at the Division of Continuing and International Education. I'm very excited to be here this evening with you all to share a lot of the information about our programs that we have, because we do have over 70 credit and non-credit programs. And our goal is to empower people to reach their full potential through continuous learning. So at every stage of their life, through their career journeys, So I will be here to answer any questions that you may have when it comes to continuing your education with the University of Miami.
Thank you very much, Desiree. And now I'll pass the microphone to our final speaker, Christopher Magnan. Christopher?
Thank you, Dean Ekman. Again, my name is Christopher Magnan. I work out of the Office of Student Financial Assistance and Employment. My main role at the university is to run the university's money management program, which is a personal finance education program. Our goal is to help students become their best financial self. For those of you who are just graduating, maybe you came to some of our money talks throughout this academic year before we had to close and cancel some of the spring ones, and I apologize if you were signed up for any of those. I'm here to answer any questions that you have about, the financial environment that we're in right now and how this is going to be affecting you all when it comes to repaying your loans. What options do you have? Deferments, income-based repayment, all of those types of things. We'll be talking about those today. So that's going to be my focus.
Thank you very much, Christopher. So you can all see we have an expert panel here, and we're going to start now with the pre-submitted questions, and the appropriate individual will direct the question to them first, but encourage others on the panel to respond as they have things to add to the question. So I'll start off with the first question, which is going to be directed to Christian. So for Christian, here's the question. What do college graduates need to know as they're entering the job market during and post coronavirus? So both now and, well, hopefully very soon.
Thank you, Chuck. As you can imagine, we're getting this question a lot at the Topple Career Center. And I was just on a similar webinar, and we had this question yesterday. I think the first thing I would like to tell folks is, there's a lot of information out there. If you turn on the news, you're going to be inundated with a lot of information about the economy related to COVID. And yes, a lot of it is negative. A lot of it can be doom and gloom. So what my piece of advice, one of the pieces of advice, is to really try to, stay on top of the fact that, on top of the news and what's going on with the economy, but to also temper that with really doing the work and doing the job search, because there are a lot of companies and a lot of industries that are still hiring, especially those that are looking for younger college graduate talent. So there's some industries that have been hit harder than others. I mean, that makes sense when you look at the hospitality, the travel industry, which is very big in Miami. That has been hit really hard. However, we're seeing a lot of other organizations, a lot of industries that are still hiring, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think that one of the panelists that I was with yesterday in the presentation, she made an excellent point that you can't get a job if you don't apply. And it sounds pretty, nothing groundbreaking there, but you'd be surprised how often, when I have a friend or, one of the students that we serve, they'll say, I haven't been able to find anything. I've been doing this job search. And the first question I ask is, well, how many jobs have you applied for this week? And often I hear 1, 4, and really that's not a job search. That's not a job search in a normal, great economy. But now with what we're facing, things are tighter. There's more competition. So you really have to pound the pavement virtually, of course, to start looking for opportunities. But it's not about just applying to opportunities, just click, 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 click. There are steps. So there are really 4 different things that you need to be doing in this environment. The first one is, focusing on your resume, your cover letter. That's pretty standard, right? The second one being, you need to do your research, and more than just kind of scouring the website of the particular companies that you're interested in, but really learning about the organization, finding out about the culture, maybe reaching out to people who work there currently, looking at things like Glassdoor to find out what previous employees are saying about that particular company, so that if you do get an interview, you're able to speak intelligently about that particular company, about that particular industry. You're able to ask more probing questions. So you have to be knowledgeable, if for no other reason, to make a better decision. Not every culture of every company is for you, and you need to know that as much as possible. The third one is networking. Networking is a lot easier now than when I was a college student, and I'm not going to say when that was, but you have all these tools at your fingertips. So finding people in your network who can help you. now is not the time to be shy. Now is not the time to kind of not be bold. You need to be unapologetic about your job search, and folks need to know that you're not that you're in a job search, but what it is that you're looking for and how they can help you. And then the last one, which ties back to what I was saying, is you have to actually apply. No one's going to apply for you. So you have to, do the research and then actually apply to these positions and stay focused, stay organized so that you don't overwhelm yourself either. So I'll leave it at that. I think that, yes, we're in unprecedented, challenging times, but it's not about giving up or digging your head into the sand. You have to stay positive and realize that there are a lot of companies still hiring.
Thanks so much, Christian. A lot of wisdom there and experience, so thank you for that. The next question I have on the list here is for Christopher. And so this is a two-part question. The first part, I'll read, this economy has been officially labeled a recession. What does that mean? And the second part, how will that affect the job market and my individual student loan situation?
Both great questions. As it relates to the economy, we're all experiencing some aspect of it. As Christian and everybody else had just mentioned, we are going through unprecedented times. But one good thing about the Department of Education, they offer a lot of different options for students that students may not be aware of. At the end of this presentation, because this is being recorded, we are going to actually also include and attach a document that I prepared for everybody that is watching this right now, and it gives you the top 10 links to help you be your best financial self as a college graduate, whether it relates to deferring your student loans, income-based repayment options, which a lot of people don't realize exist, getting forbearances on your loans when you're having a financial challenge of something along the lines of COVID, causing you to lose your job or not get employed as quickly as possible. Students who are just graduating right now, everybody may know this already, that the Department of Education for your student loans, they have since, I think, March 13th or March 20th approximately, through the end of September, they have waived the interest rates on all government student loans. They are not charging interest rates to anyone on any of their student loans. You are in a forbearance that is interest-free right now. When your interest starts accruing again at the end of September, it will not include like interest back, the last 3 or 4 to 5 months of interest. You are just right now having an opportunity to save yourself some money. If you do have a career started and you are in the position to start making payments on your loans, if you're paying them during this period of time where your loans are interest free in the very long term, it can save you a lot of money. And I think that covers those two questions combined, I would think. So we'll leave it at that for now.
That's great. Thanks that's very interesting, Christopher. Can you, there's a follow-up question to this, and that's what qualifies me for a loan deferment? I understand those are available.
Great question. There's a lot of things that can qualify you for a loan deferment. As Desiree had mentioned before, if you go back to school and continue your education, you may be able to defer your loans based on being back in school. But if you don't continue your education, economic hardship can allow you to defer your loans. When you're in a deferment, just so you know, and the government has about 10 different ways to defer your loans and get into what's called an official deferment. When you're in a deferment, your loans that, like say if you just graduated right now and you're in a grace period on your student loans, you're on your subsidized loans from the government. If you have any of those, they've been interest-free while you're going to school. During a deferment time, they stay interest-free. So if you have an opportunity to defer your loans because you're having an economic hardship, you're in the military, you go back to school, you're in a graduate fellowship, there are so many different options you can choose. You're not going to pay interest on your subsidized loans while that's taking place. You do have to talk to your loan servicer though. If you don't know who your loan servicer is, we'll talk about that. And I am going to send you a link later on. We'll have that as part of the document. And if I could share my screen really, really quick just to give you a snapshot of what we've got going on. Hang on just a moment. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, all right. Becoming your best financial self as you graduate. There's a lot of information in here, whether it be for COVID-related things that I just mentioned, knowing what your student loans are, knowing your repayment options, deferments, forbearances, a little bit of everything. So this is a great resource for you all as you're entering the workforce and entering repayment on your student loans, whether it be setting personal finance goals, a little bit of everything. But you're going to have this as a resource as we finish this presentation. Later on, it'll be, I think, attached to the presentation, if I recall correctly, where we're going to store it. And then there's another resource on this as well that's going to help you with creating personal spending plans and what are called life plans. And you'll see, I'm not going to walk you through it right now because of time limitations, but it is going to be a great resource for you, whether you want to defer your loans, get forbearances, like I said, and you could always, you'll have me, Christopher Magnan, my contact information will be on that as well. So because I run the money management program, there's always people asking questions about that. Contact our office, and we can help guide you if you're lost. Most of the resources that are going to be on that document are going to help you with just about every question that you have on the options that are available to you.
Thanks so much, Christopher. Very helpful. So the next question on the list is going to be one for Camila. Camila, what are some gap year options for recent graduates or those who are about to graduate? And is it recommended for someone considering medical law school to have a gap year experience?
Thank you, Dean Ekman. So I would say for anyone who wants to consider a fellowship is essentially a 1 to 2 year job opportunity, or for example, a research opportunity as well with either university, federal service, or anything of that nature. And really for anyone who's considering a fellowship, I would ask, like, what is it that you want out of it? For me, what led me to fellowships was I was considering my senior year to apply to get my MPH, so my master's in public health. But once I started learning more about the application process for graduate school, I realized that I didn't have that the experiences that I wanted, the hands-on public health experiences that I wanted. And so when I spoke to one of my mentors, they had suggested that I look up a fellowship. And so I started on that path. And right now, it's a wonderful time for fellowships. There are many public health fellowships since COVID-19 is a public health issue. We're seeing that the public health workforce has had to deal with an aging workforce where we're losing so many folks who have those skills from 20, 30 years working in public health departments, and then also a lack of funding and not a lot of people wanting to go into public health because not a lot of people know about it. So I think public health fellowships are a really amazing opportunity right now. And then also fellowships that are focusing on racial equity, racial justice. They've always been a thing, but not a lot of people know about them. And especially now with the recommitment of so many folks to prison abolition, to the Black Lives Matter movement, things like that, funding and those opportunities for racial justice and racial equity fellowships is really coming along. And for medical school and for law school, those two options, either in public health or in racial justice, or really any type of fellowship, like that would look amazing on anybody's resume. And I think Christian could also speak to that, because the thing is, with medical school and with law school, and with graduate school, folks and admissions, they want a well-rounded candidate. They don't want just someone who has focused their entire life just in doing research. And that's the thing about public health and public health fellowships, is that you're working out there in the community. And again, it's just 1 year, it's a 2-year commitment. If you want to extend it, you can, but you don't have to. So it's a great timeline for in between your undergraduate career and then also continuing like higher education.
Thank you so much, Camila. Much appreciated. So the next question on my list is back to Christian. Christian, this is an important question. Who is hiring and what kind of degrees and credentials are those employers looking for?
Well, that's a really broad question. As I mentioned before, I'll try my best. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of industries that have, or there's some industries that have been hit really hard because of COVID-19. But there are many others that are still looking. So when you think about those industries, they include transportation, obviously technology companies, logistics. You know, one of the things that we saw in 2008, 2009 with the Great Recession, a lot of amazing innovation happened because, as a result of that. You know, we wouldn't have Uber or Airbnb if it wasn't for that situation. And that's what tends to happen in these kinds of events. So technology companies are really scrambling to meet the needs of a variety of, for other industries and for consumers. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And you may not be a tech person. You may be, let's say, an accounting major, but everybody needs accounting majors, right? Everybody needs an accountant. So it's about trying to be as flexible as possible, trying to open your mind and being able to pivot as much as possible. One of the things that I would recommend, I'm gonna recommend two different things, and I'm gonna put it in the chat box, these two links. First of all, as alumni of the university, we have a website called alumnicareer.miami.edu. And in there, or on that website, it will give you access to Handshake, which I'm sure many of you already have access to, if you probably used it during your time at UM. As an alum, you can still use Handshake. And just, we did a search just recently. There are 800 positions just in the city of Miami that we came up with just doing a quick search. So obviously, the more you expand your search, the more opportunity there's going to be. So there are students that say, well, I want to do this in this city, working in this particular industry. You know, obviously, the more you do that, it's like a funnel, right? You're going to see fewer and fewer opportunities. So now's the time to try to be as open-minded as possible, as flexible as possible. Also realizing that this probably isn't going to be the job you're going to retire from. You know, the research shows that students, the young folks graduating now, will have multiple, not just multiple jobs, but multiple careers. So it's about trying to be as flexible as possible, not just taking anything for the sake of taking, you know, something, but trying to be as open-minded as possible. Also, on that website, you're going to have links to a lot of articles, videos. You can find mentors who are also University of Miami alums, you know, to learn more about, you know, what a particular industry, about a particular job or a particular company. And then the other link I'm going to show you is an article that just came out recently in News at the U, if you haven't seen it, that kind of outlines some of the programs and initiatives that the Topple Career Center is putting out now, specifically for recent graduates of the university, to help them with finding jobs, but also skill building. So if you want to learn a little bit more about design or about coding, there are a lot of free resources out there that we have kind of pulled together where you're able to kind of hone these skills while you're still looking for a job, because that's the other thing. You don't want to have a gap in your resume if at all possible.
Thank you very much, Christian. That was a lot of information in a short period, so thank you. The next question is for Marianne, the first for Marianne. So Marianne, the question that's submitted is, I have a humanities degree and I don't want to go into teaching or to law school. What are my other options?
Sure. Well, this is a particular interest to me because I also have a humanities degree, and it's very timely. The New Republic actually put out an article last week called "The Case for Liberal Arts," and it was about, you know, the sort of resurgence of the a focused importance on the humanities, because as we are seeing now, the big problems of the world don't just fit into one box. So being interdisciplinary and being able to use those soft skills is coming even more into focus when we start looking at some of the sort of domestic issues that we're facing as a nation, and also the global issues that are going to be you know, continuing to exist even after COVID. So believe it or not, that re-movement towards the humanities, quite a few graduate programs out there are valuing your background in soft skills. In fact, I don't like that term at all. I like that they are essential skills, because admissions officers, hiring agencies even, they have reaffirmed a value in written communication, oral communication, critical thinking, collaboration, cultural responsiveness, all of these that these big paradigms that emanate from the humanities and throughout the liberal arts. So when you're looking at a graduate school applicant, we are looking very holistically. in our review. And quite a few of the top schools, including the University of Miami, starting in the fall, many of our programs have done away with entrance exam requirements. So GREs, GMATs, things like that are becoming a thing of the past because there are biases inherent in that kind of entrance examination. And they really aren't great predictors of student success. So when an application comes in, we are looking at your whole picture of your experience, where you studied, what you studied, obviously your grades. Many of the admissions officers now have incorporated portfolios or interviews as part of the application process to get this picture. And frankly, to buck the trend that every English major becomes a teacher, or every poli-sci major goes to law school. Disclaimer, I am married to an attorney, so I'm very pro law, medical, and business schools. But he would be the first to tell you that law school is not for everybody. It's for people that really want to go into the legal field or to be attorneys. So there's now this growing catalog of other types of professional programs and alternatives to those big three pathways that everybody takes. Camila mentioned public health as a previously lesser known field within medicine that now, because of COVID and for other reasons, is becoming into prominence as an option for people that may have considered medical school. So you have more well-known, well-established professional degrees like a Master's of Public Administration or Public Policy. Both of those have pretty high reputations in government jobs, local, state, and national. Also within large organizations, typically seen as sometimes an alternative to an MBA, which is also a choice you could pursue. And now there is, as I mentioned, a lot of offerings of one-year master's programs. And we have a few at UM that come to mind because they're really timely for the sort of COVID atmosphere. One is a one-year Master's in International Administration. So it's a Master of Arts. It's MAIA is the acronym. The MAIA program is a global affairs degree. It has very practical coursework, internship opportunities in sustainability, security, equity, ethics, all big problems that any institution faces. So, take emergency management, for example. Every company, from Apple to Target, every school, every large scale event has to deal with some aspect of security and how you operationalize creating a safe environment for the people that are either in your store or attending your event. And now more than ever, how do we reorganize our school to socially distance when school starts in the fall? How do you, spread out the store so that people can shop and be safe as we move forward to continuing to keep commerce open? So MAIA is a type of degree that addresses those large scale questions and also addresses them on a transnational sort of platform. So I can mention a recent graduate, and he was someone who was pre-med. He changed to end up being, I think he was a history major. And when he came through the MAIA program, he interned at the CDC as well, through a similar program to the one that Camila's in. And he worked for the World Health Organization doing innovation and sort of planning large scale relief efforts. So there's other pathways. As Christian said, there's so much out there right now that might be slightly outside of the box you may have pictured. But if the more that you dig and the more that you ask the schools and the admissions officers, talk to alumni, talk to graduates or current students in programs, and they can give you these little hints. We're really doing our best to innovate outside of this box that every STEM major goes into STEM. So we have a master's in data science, which is a new degree starting in the fall. And we've instituted quite a few tracks within that master's that are for people from non-technical backgrounds. So even within the MS in data science, you can take a track in smart cities or track in data visualization that are for folks from the humanities or social science backgrounds. So you get your basic coding training, and you also get an advanced degree in how big data applies to your field. Digital humanities, journalism, media, architecture. So there's a lot out there. And big data is everywhere. So if you're like me through this whole thing, I've really been checking the DOH website, and those spreadsheets to interpret and represent the data is a very important credential to have. So that's another degree that's open to any major. I would definitely, though, not shy away from exploring any degree option regardless of your background, because again, we're looking at the whole student. And yeah, you're not, don't feel that you're ever put into a hole that you have to go this way because that was your undergraduate major.
Thanks, Marianne. That was a lot of information, and I have a sort of follow-up on a similar theme, which is to direct, we're going to direct at Camila. What are you thinking, Camila, in terms of your own personal approach to what graduate programs you may be interested in pursuing?
So like I said before, when I was a senior, my final year, I had already kind of looked at the top MPH programs, so Masters in Public Health, but I didn't realize, because I'm a first generation student, I didn't realize that grad school was so focused. I thought it was much like undergrad where, you know, if you get a biology degree somewhere, it's close to, again, not from the University of Miami, hello, but from other institutions, maybe, you know, it's pretty much you take the same core classes. However, I didn't realize that for a master's, especially in public health, you can go into biostatistics, epidemiology. Some schools have even more specific, like health equity, racial justice, health disparities, things like that. So when I first started my search, I was overwhelmed. I was like, okay, I can't do this because I'm brand new to public health. Like, I don't know what I want to do specifically. But now that I've started, I started my program in October, so it's been a few months. I've kind of realized more what I want to do. And so now what I'm doing, at least for public health, is looking at schools that are offering epidemiology degrees. So focus in that. And then also something that I've been incredibly interested in always is neglected tropical diseases and the subspecialties of zoonotic and vector-borne diseases. So diseases that have originated in animals and then jump over because of a surplus into humans. So an example would be coronaviruses, SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, and MERS. So things like that. But besides just like the technical aspects, I think what's really important in looking for a graduate program is the faculty, especially since you do have faculty advisors that will be helping you throughout your entire either 2-3 years, however long your graduate program is. It's very important that their views line up with yours. And so I think that's something a little bit different than undergrad, because I think in undergrad you end up finding a faculty advisor or a mentor, but you don't really have to choose them from the get-go. And then also something that's incredibly important for me is where do the graduates end up working after? For example, for me, I want to continue my work in public service. So when I look at an MPH program, I want to find a school whose graduates mostly pursue public service. So they go into federal jobs, they go into NGOs, things like that. And then also the commitment the faculty and the institution, especially now, have to ending racial disparities and upholding their commitments and values to diversity and inclusion. I've always said it that I've always wanted diverse faculty, and thankfully at UM I was able to find it, but I really want to continue that into my search for my graduate degree, is making sure that the faculty that I'm surrounded by have that diverse thought, come from diverse backgrounds, and so they can teach that to me as well.
Thank you very much, Camila. That was a really great answer. I'm sure a lot of folks were paying very close attention to that. So the next question, I'm going to turn it back to Marianne. This is, and you may have touched upon this, Marianne, briefly in your earlier, but just in case you have some more thoughts, are there any one-year graduate programs out there that would make me more competitive on the job market? Me as well as the audience. Yeah.
Sure, certainly. So yes, you know, when you're looking at a graduate degree, you have, you know, a JD is a 3-year commitment. Most MBA and MPA public health degrees as well can be a 1.5 to 2-year commitment. Obviously, doctoral programs are varied, but a bit longer. But now there's these 1-year programs that are there on the horizon for you. And really that gives you another kind of gap year option if you want. Let's say you're preparing yourself for medical school and you want to strengthen your application. There are 1-year professional programs that are, you know, in biology, in professional science, that can prepare you for, you know, launching into the doctoral sphere, if that's where you see yourself headed. I already mentioned Maya and data science. kind of along the same lines as Camila mentioned, there's such variety now, even within the health fields. We're developing a master's in medical humanities and bioethics that will be joining the college's offerings next year. That's partially taught between the college and the medical school. But basically, when you're looking at a one-year program, you want to take a look at the plan of study. Because if the program promises to get you in and out in 1 year, you want to see what that course load is going to look like. When are the courses offered? What's the course time commitment so that you're able to manage it? Within Maya, as an example, a lot of the classes are offered in the evenings so that folks that are still working are able to take the master's as well and still be done in a year. A lot of them will have hybrid or online course options. Most of them are 30 credits and will likely involve summer classes. So ask if the 1 year is an academic year or a full calendar year. It's usually a full calendar year. You also want to look for a program that provides some sort of internship or experiential learning opportunity. That's usually in the final semester, because I'm sure Christian, my colleagues from TOPL will agree, more often than not, that first interview or that first job or that opportunity comes from your internship or the connections that you might make at your internship. I was hired off my undergraduate internship. Piggybacking on what Camila said, though, you have so much out there right now, and it's really easy to get lost in the mire of these programs. A lot of one-year masters are fully online. So you want to ask, are they asynchronous? Meaning that I log into class, I complete at my own pace. I might email back and forth with a faculty member, but there's no Zoom, there's no face-to-face or remote learning component. Those are fine if that's what you're looking for and you're just looking to do it at your own pace in a very flexible time frame. But if you really want to get to know your faculty, our programs at UM, we do have a few that are online, fully online, and then we have programs that offer that variety, so that if you are connected to a faculty member, you in the interview process or even on the website, you see somebody whose research really speaks to you, then make sure that the program that you apply for gives you that exposure to the faculty person, and that you might have classes in person or online. Certainly we've adapted to remote instruction because of COVID, but even in the fall when we start back again, we're going to have those hybrid opportunities. So a one-year program in any discipline should be really concise, should have everything mapped out for you, but it should be flexible enough that the course offerings match what you're able to do. And you're able to complete the degree, because it's so competitive right now. I wouldn't want you to shy away from any interdisciplinary degree. So MPA, law school, MBA, very distinctive and very well known, but also consider dual degree options. Those typically take 2 years, but for the same time commitment, you can walk away with a double degree. We have an MPH, so Master of Public Health with a Master of Arts in Latin American Studies. So it gives you all the epidemiological training that an MPH degree does, but with the added preparation of language, culture, and communications to do that work in the Latin American Caribbean region. So a couple options for you.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Marianne. The next question is for Desiree. Another one for Desiree. What are some continuing education options that will help my prospects for getting hired?
That is a very important question, and one that a lot of graduates ask themselves, because they're trying to separate themselves from all the other masses that are out there looking for these positions. They want that clear distinction and uniqueness about themselves. And within our area, we're able to provide many different options for students and for these graduates. Under continuing ed, we have credit, non-credit. We do have online program, and as Marianne said, there are different formats. So we do have live online sessions with faculty, and we do have self-paced. So allowing flexibility for these students is very important, because then that way they can still enhance and improve on their skill set while they're looking for employment. Within our program Vitae, we have a whole wide array of different fields that we touch on. And that's also important, because you have many different grads, many different degrees that they hold. So we have many industry-focused programs that provide skill-based competency skills that will enhance these prospective positions that these students are looking for. Now, our programs are taught by subject matter experts from the field. So these are real world perspective that these students are getting inside the classroom. Now, employers are looking for demanding skill set. They're looking for these competencies that will fulfill the positions that they're advertising. So we need to enable these students to be marketable. We need for them to be current. We need for all the information that they're getting to be very updated and specialized. For example, we have a project management certificate program. Within this program, it provides graduates an excellent opportunity to develop and enhance their project skills and their knowledge base. So not only receiving the certificate from the University of Miami, but these students are able to go on and take certification and get credential in project management, which also adds PDUs, which is professional development units that they need. So employers, when they see this, they see that someone not only have a degree, but they have the skill set necessary to perform the on the job with less training that they may have to do. Because remember, employers are looking, we have time, resources that we have to invest on new employees at times. So upon completion of our programs, our students really can demonstrate these skills to them, where it's stackable credentials, where it adds on to their degree, or within the certificate, they're able to go on and get credential, or from the certificate, they can take another certificate. So it becomes stackable, which then allows that student to be much more marketable to potential employers. Okay, so for example, our cybersecurity program that we do have. Within that program, not only offer them a certification in different areas, a certificate from the skill-based competency skills that they need, but they also prepare them for employment. So they do provide personalized interview training, internship, placement assistant, professional networking opportunities, CV and LinkedIn profile building. And those are the key things that students are looking for. So it definitely adds to their portfolio. And many of the students come out of a lot of our continuing ed program with an e-portfolio, so they can showcase this. They showcase it also with digital badge that we provide. Which an employer will then click on it, and they will be able to see all the skills that that particular applicant have earned and they're coming to the table with, which is key, So other students may be looking at advancing their degree. Like Camila was talking about, she took a gap year, but she's utilizing it, in the most productive way, and then she will go on for a graduate degree. But we do have the fully online graduate and doctoral program under our Online list of programs that we offer. And this is another way that the students can learn new program information. For example, the public administration that we do have. We have a master's in public administration, and this provides a comprehensive, holistic understanding of what is needed to be an effective public service leader. And in today's climate, that is needed. So the Online Masters of Public Administration, students do explore the most critical areas of public administration, including planning, financial budgeting, political analysis, personnel administration, and it goes on. So whether a student is looking to advance in their current career or shifting career or entering into a career, our goal at our division is to equip them with the skills and tools that they do need to be workforce ready.
Thank you very much, Desiree. That was a lot of information. We're glad your division is here to help. So the next question is back to Christian, and this one makes a lot of sense. Are there any virtual internship opportunities that I can pursue this coming year, given that travel is restricted for much of the world?
Yes, well, I most companies who hire interns fall in, we're already into the mix of it, but there were a lot of we're not ready to internship. Can you all hear me? Okay, sorry. I'm having audio issues here. So what I was saying is there were some companies with the whole COVID situation weren't ready to transition to a virtual internship, so they just canceled them. Working. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, let me turn off my video here. Okay, let's try this again. Can you all hear me? Excellent. Okay. So what I was saying, there are companies who are able to transition and turn their internships into a virtual internship. And so we're having companies do that right now. What I predict is that that will continue happening in the fall semester, as well as probably in the spring semester, as companies are still trying to figure out this COVID-19 and how to try to, like, you know, how do you have people come back, especially interns, without jeopardizing them and other people, is that there are a lot of opportunities out there. If you're looking for an internship right now, there's this notion called micro internships, which are shorter term kind of project-based internships. If you go to our website, the TOPL website, which I linked to, in the chat box, there is an organization called Parker Dewey. And Parker Dewey, we've contracted with them. It's absolutely free, but you can find companies, organizations that are looking for staff members who, or sorry, for students who can complete, or alumni even, who can complete short-term projects that are paid to get that experience. So rather than committing to an entire summer, an entire semester, you could do these short-term projects and make some money while you do so. And these can happen anywhere in the world. So you don't have to physically be where that organization is at. So again, the name of the organization is called Parker Dewey, as well as if you go on to Handshake, you could do a search for internships and you will see that a lot of those internships are now virtual and they will continue to be virtual. So as these next couple of weeks continue, I would recommend that you keep looking as companies start posting more and more internships virtually.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Christian. Appreciate that quite a bit. So we have another question that's going to go back to Christopher. And this question will be the last one before we get into the Q&A portion of this. I know everyone is anxious to start asking questions in Q&A. So this last question is a hefty one. Should I consider staying in school and incurring more debt, or starting a side hustle and waiting out the next year?
I love that question. I'm not sure about the side hustle exactly. We don't push anybody to choose to go back to college if you're not ready for it right now, and incur additional debt that you may not need to incur. There are, as I mentioned previously, there are so many options that are available to students, and even the political climate. I don't know if you heard, part of when the election is going to be taking place pretty soon, the different politicians are offering many different options when it comes to student loan repayment and the forgiveness of loans and making public education free, and every politician has a different plan in place for that. But if you do decide to go back to school, as I mentioned before, you are going to have the opportunity to defer your loans. If you don't, there are deferment options. If you're in a situation where it's taking you longer, or you want to do an unpaid fellowship, where you can get either a deferment or a forbearance on your loan, which is a break. They're both a break on your payment. They have different rules for different ones. But I wouldn't say that you should push yourself to go back to school until you are completely ready to do so and prepared to do so. Like everybody has been mentioning, all the preparation that you do to market yourself in the best way possible. Take advantage of this time to do that, and then look into graduate scholarship opportunities. There are schools that have a lot of opportunities. Don't rush into it. If you can market yourself, that will make you more of a better candidate for graduate scholarships at many universities, then do so. Take that time, market yourself, increase your skills, that type of thing. And I don't rush into any of these decisions, and understand that there are a lot of options for you, if whether it be income-based repayment options, whether it be deferring your payments temporarily, or getting a longer term break on your payments. If you work with your loan servicers, they are going to work with you. They're somebody you need to develop a relationship with now through the time your loans are repaid. And if you don't know who that person is, the information we're going to share later on is going to end up having that. But I think that pretty much covers that.
Thanks so much, Christopher. And thanks again to all the panelists for this informative discussion thus far. It's really clear how much expertise is in the space and how much knowledge and wisdom has been imparted so far. We're now going to move into a more interactive session with the audience. Everybody in the audience, you should see a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you open that window, you'll be able to submit questions. And the Q&A will be self-moderated. That is, the panelists will be reviewing the questions as they come in, and presenters will be selecting ones that they would like to respond to. So with that, I'm going to turn this right over to the panel.
Thank you, Dean Ekman. So I'm going to take it because it seems like it's mostly for me, but the first question from Anastasia is, if you are interested in continuing to study at UM for a graduate degree, do you have more chances of getting in if you have previously studied at UM? That's actually a really good question. I can't say that your chances of getting in are any greater, because I know all of the graduate programs are competitive. And while we know the quality of the undergraduate education at UM, you are often competing against our peer institutions and our aspirational peer institutions. But I will say that what's important to ask the recruiter or the admissions officer that you're speaking with is if they have any incentives for alumni. We do at the College of Arts and Sciences, we have a program called U Accelerate. And if you are an alum of the University of Miami and you qualify for U Accelerate, then we can offer you partial tuition waivers. So we have an application window that we put out every year for U Accelerate. And if you apply during that time, then you can become eligible for a tuition waiver, which is basically a reduced tuition cost. So you still have the same competitive environment to get in, but if you do get in, we do honor the fact that you're an alum of the University of Miami. So I hope that kind of touches on your question. I would always ask that question of any UM program that you apply to, if you're interested, and say exactly that. Are there any incentives for UM alums? Does anyone else want to sort of chime in on that? If not, we've got a few more questions. No, okay. I see another one from me, so I'm going to take it slightly out of order. But Michelle just offered, if we offered a dual degree option that combines Maya with Latin American Studies, the MA in Latin American Studies. We don't, however, we do have something, the university has something called the Second Masters, which basically allows you to take a second master's right behind your first. So with Maya and the Masters in Latin American Studies, both of those degrees are 30 credits, and a combined dual degree, according to accreditation, must be at least 60. So we can't really combine LAS and Maya because they're already at the minimum of 60 total, but you can take them back to back as part of the second master's program. So if you have any additional questions or you want to speak about that further, we can send some information around, or you can send me an email. My email is easy. It's met@miami.edu. So thank you for that question, Michelle. Crystal asked a question for Desiree. Should a recent graduate pursue a certificate to beef up their resume, or should they wait to see until they have more work experience?
Well, I would definitely encourage every grad to beef up their resume as much as they could. Within our area, offering the certificate programs really allow them to be workforce ready. And it allows for those who are in transition, those who are entering into a career as well. So they can start after they graduate, they can start once they start their career as well. So we allow for any type of audience when it comes to their intention, their goal, enhancing their growth potential, and to allow themselves to be able to be more marketable and be ready for their workforce and anything else that they're trying to do. So I would not make a decision to delay you know, continuing, because our certificates also add to the degree. So, and it's very hands-on, real life, so it's skill-based.
Thank you, Desiree. We have a question from Julie. I can talk about this a little, but I might also toss this over to Christian. What are the best ways for current students to get in contact with alumni in their fields? I would say specifically if you're looking at applying to a graduate program, always ask the admissions officer if they can put you in touch with a recent alumni of the program, or even non-recent, you know, someone who's been working in the field for a long time. So programs should be able to assist you with that, specifically about graduate programs. But Christian or anyone else, advice on how to get in touch with alumni working in the field?
Yes, we have a platform that we launched this past year called Cane to Cane, and it is an online networking and mentorship platform. So you are able to do a search for alumni by geography, by major. You could do it by affinity, such as gender, LGBTQ, race, ethnicity. So however it is that you want to find a mentor or someone who could help you find a job, you know, or just to kind of chat with and pick their brain. The Cane to Cane platform is amazing. I'm going to put the link inside the chat box so you see it, but it's canetocane.miami.edu. And obviously there's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource as well. The difference between the two is that Cane to Cane is specifically for the University of Miami community. So it's composed of alumni as well as friends of the institution.
Great. Christian, and speaking as an alum myself, how do alumni go about sort of registering themselves to be available for recent alums to reach out?
So the same way. So you go to canetocane.miami.edu. It will ask you if you are a current student looking for alums, or if you're an alum looking to serve as a mentor or a point of contact. Each alum can choose how they want to be contacted, how many times they want to be contacted. So let's say, you know, you choose 5 times a month. After that 5th time, you go kind of dark and it won't kind of re-up until that next month. So you kind of control that. And I should mention that the platform allows for alumni to alumni mentoring and networking, because we know that, you know, alumni mentoring should kind of happen in all different kinds of ways.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Christian. One for Christopher. Are the money talks coming back in the fall semester?
Absolutely. We're going to actually have some hybrids. We're going to have some on-campus programming. It's going to be on our website, which is the money management website, miami.edu/moneymgmt. By August 1st, we'll have the schedule. We have about 30 sessions that are going to be on the Miami Coral Gables campus, about 10 sessions on the Minute campus, and we definitely are looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll keep the Q&A open, but I don't see any additional questions coming in. Any final thoughts from anyone on the panel? This has been such a wonderful conversation and so many opportunities for students that are looking for what to do in the next couple of years.
I can chime in. I tell everybody, as you're graduating, get educated, have a financial plan for yourself. You may not have set up a life plan for yourself, but do that. Understand if you are a loan borrower, understand your loans. Keep in touch with your loan servicer and do everything you can to protect your credit. There are so many options that will allow you to keep a great credit score during the time that you're in repayment on your student loans. Everybody thinks, oh my God, student loan repayment is crazy and it's going to take over my life. And no, it won't. If you get educated about it, you'll see that there are options for everybody.
I just want to end to let everyone know that learning is continuous. You learn at every stage of your life, and you can always make those decisions right through. We educate from a young age all up to these beautiful teenagers that we have in our OLLI program. So it is continuous. Take advantage of it. There are so many resources that were shared with you here today.
I would like to just add that this is, I know, a challenging time for everybody. There are a lot of unknowns, but I think it's important to remember to stay positive and to, try to do your best to balance what's going on in the news in the world, staying informed, but then also taking time for yourself to focus on your job search, your graduate school search, whatever it is that you're looking for, but also take time for yourself. They say that looking for a job is like dating, and no one wants to date someone or be across the dinner table with someone who's really negative, really down. And the same thing goes for job interviews or graduate school applications, whatever the case may be. So whatever it is that can help you kind of stay positive and stay focused is really important. And we're here at the Topple Career Center to help you. We do have drop-in advising Monday through Friday without an appointment, so you can certainly drop in for that, and we're going to help you out.
Sure, and we do have one more question that popped into the chat window, which I'll address really quickly before maybe tossing it to Dean Ekman to close us out. And he may want to talk about this question too. So the question is, what difference does it make between pursuing a master's or going directly into a PhD program? With any program, outcome is key. So not all, but I would say most PhD programs, the direct outcome is a career in academia. To be a professor or to be somebody who either goes into higher education administration or some part of life in the academic sphere. That's typically the outcome of a PhD, or to go into research, particularly in the STEM fields. So the big question is to ask the folks in the program and the folks that are helping you admit to the program and the faculty in the program, what do I do with this degree if I choose to go this route? A lot of times it's straight to a PhD program. It really depends on the program. That's common at Research One institutions, that a master's is not necessary, depending on the field. And then masters have research components, and some of them are professional masters, which have internship and sort of project-based outcomes. And those degrees are really to gear you towards the workforce. So you don't take as many, you might do some research and take some research classes, but the level of research that you do in a master's program might not be enough to enter the academic realm. So ask about the outcomes, ask about the plan of study and whether or not it's a research or a professional degree. And I think that would sort of answer your questions. Other question, more questions coming in. Are there resources able to match you to what you're studying against the career market? That's an interesting question. Yeah, Christian, you're nodding like you've got that one.
Yes, we, it's a tricky question because, what you don't want to do, we want to get away from, this degree gets you this one career. However, there are a lot of resources that are available. We have a resource on our website, higherarcane.com. The name of the resource is called What Can I Do With This Major? And what I love about it is it will show a major and it'll show all the different things you can do outside of the typical, in addition to the typical kind of job projection. So if you're a political science major, it'll show you a lot of other options beyond becoming a lawyer. So it helps expand, your knowledge, and then it'll show you resources or link you to resources specific to those particular industries. It will also talk to you about, will you need another degree, whether it's a master's degree, a PhD, will a certificate be enough? So I would definitely check that out. And what I would also recommend, as I mentioned, the drop-in advice to someone, we'd be able to kind of go over those options with you as well.
Great, thank you. Our last question was kind of answered, so I encourage all of the attendees to please check the chat, because I posted some links. Christian and Christopher and Desiree all posted links to some of the things we mentioned. And I just want to say a quick note of how, on behalf of the college, because she's one of our alums, so I can brag about her, we're very, very proud of Camila and the work that she's doing now on behalf of the College of Arts and Sciences and the university. So be safe and be well, and always remember you have a house at the U, a safe haven whenever COVID is over. So Dean Ekman, if you would close us out, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Marianne. And I just want to, I think we should share a virtual round of applause for our panelists' expertise, knowledge, and wisdom and experience all over the place. And I know this could go on for a while, but I think a lot of information was packed into a very short period of time. And our best wishes go out to everyone in the audience. And I think the message you're taking away from here is that you have resources available to you throughout your life, and please make use of them. We want the best for you. Please stay safe and healthy as you move forward through this period of time and onward. So thank you everyone very much.